Pro-life GOP House Representative Matt Gaetz complained this week after the Alabama Supreme Court granted embryos the same rights as people, RadarOnline.com can report. The Florida congressman's remarks came on Thursday shortly after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that embryos have the same rights as people, a ruling that raised immediate concerns and prompted in vitro fertilization clinics in Alabama to halt their practices. According to CNN, the ruling emerged from a lawsuit filed by a couple whose embryos were mistakenly destroyed at an IVF clinic. Judges in the case concluded that the state's wrongful death laws should encompass embryos because, according to the Alabama Supreme Court, frozen embryos are now considered extrauterine children. Flash forward to Thursday night, and Gaetz complained about the sudden ruling during an interview on CNN News Night with CNN host Abby Phillips. It's pretty big news in the world of women's health. Alabama Supreme Court ruling that frozen embryos are considered to be children, Phillips noted. Do you think that they got that ruling right? The CNN News Night host asked Gaetz. According to Gaetz, the Alabama Supreme Court correctly assessed the law, although he also argued that Alabama's laws regarding embryos and IVF need to be changed because the Republican Party cannot be the party against family formation. I believe the Alabama law needs to change because the Republican Party cannot be the party against family formation, Gaetz told Phillips on Thursday night. Something is totally wrong. The people who want to have a family should have the government and the law on their side, he continued. And the notion that discarded embryos in an IVF somehow turn these people who want children and want families and want the American dream into criminals is really wrong. Gaetz stood by his argument even after Phillips revealed that the Alabama Supreme Court's recent decision has been celebrated by pro-life and anti-abortion activists. Pro-life means being pro-IVF, the Florida congressman said. And I've worked side by side with progressive Democrats like Sarah Jacobs to make sure that our military members can have access to IVF in the event of deployment or other challenges to family formation. So, you're always going to find me on the side of family formation, not against family formation, he added. Gaetz concluded his complaints by once calling for Alabama's laws to be amended so that frozen embryos are no longer considered extrauterine children. I believe the Alabama legislature ought to amend their law so that IVF can occur safely in the Yellowhammer State, he said. As RadarOnline.com previously reported, the Alabama Supreme Court's embryo and IVF ruling this week was a direct result of the U.S. Supreme Court's 7-2 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade back in June 2022.